Good afternoon, class. So I am doing this. I am doing this video lecture, um, or a recorded video lecture for our missed class earlier because of the meeting to advance it. So for today, we will be talking about the review of related literature, which is one of the most important part in doing your actual thesis or your research. Let me just share my slide to everyone. Okay, so I think I've sent this already to your messenger so that you will have the time to be able to view this one because it's crucial that for this week, by Friday, no, by September 20, you will have to submit your research deliverable, which is the journal articles 1 to 20 in the RRL answer grid. So let me just share my slide again. Okay, so let's start immediately. So that should have been an H, qualitative research. So how to write your review of related literature. Now, the review of related literature, as mentioned earlier, is one of the important components in doing your thesis. It's a crucial part of any research that you'll have to provide a comprehensive background of existing studies related to your research topic, and the year of the journal articles, thesis, and dissertation that you'll be getting would be 5 years. Okay, pabaliktad na 5 years, meaning if it's 20, today is 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, or 2019, you look for journal articles, thesis, and dissertation papers in the year 2019 and above. But of course, there will still be a latter year that you will be including in your literature, pero dapat konti lang yun. So our lecture will guide you into the process of collecting literature. So you made already your initial literature review via the 1031 activity. You can use those and make sure you have been able to have created your research Google Drive and be able to place it there. Now, in the review of related literature, you need to be able to synthesize it and present it later on in a coherent manner, or we call it in a thematic manner or thematic approach. You have to include both the theoretical later on and the conceptual framework as part of your chapter 2. And you will learn how to write the RRL by critically engaging with reputable scholarly sources, not Wikipedia, not of those news articles online, not just a website, and translating later on your findings into an organized APA 7th edition cited format. Our learning objectives for this lecture is to collect and review those scholarly journal articles, thesis, and dissertations, forming really a very good solid literature base, kasi kailangan nyo yan to be able to substantiate or to tell your reader that the results of your studies, getting it from the participants, are actually accurate and true. Now, the second is that for you to write a well-structured RRL with the proper APA in-text citations. So, ibig sabihin nito, you don't just cut and paste your work and put it into just one paper. There is a proper way to do it. You have to synthesize the literature from multiple sources and develop really a very coherent narrative so that when your readers get to read your paper, they will not be confused. It's like reading like a story. Now, 4 is you have to create your theoretical and conceptual frameworks relevant to your qualitative research designs, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. So you have to collect the literature for your review of related literature. This is a must. And you have to begin by gathering literature from the reputable sources, such as a scholarly journal, articles, thesis, and dissertation. And your aim is to have at least 20 references from reliable databases like, of course, the Google Scholar, the JS Store, or itong ProQuest, wala naman tayong ProQuest, okay? You can use the Google Scholar or the JS Store or any scholarly Google search for scholarly search engines for your scholarly articles, thesis, and dissertations. So in terms of collecting literature, you have to identify the words. Or type there in the Google Scholar, you can use specific words relevant to your research topic. Let's say your research topic is about diabetes or persons with diabetic conditions. So you type it on students with diabetic conditions or diabetes or diabetics or students with diabetes or diabetic conditions. Now select from reputable sources like I mentioned earlier and focus on peer-reviewed journal articles and or books are published within the last 5 years. Now organize your literature, create a reference manager to organize your sources for easy retrieval, meaning you can create a document and put all together your references arranged in APA 7th edition alphabetically um, arranged. Meaning you put all your references doon sa isang document para later on, it will be easier for you to be able to cross-check and even check your references. Now, next is you have to accomplish your RRL answer grid, which I think I have already sent examples, one from Asahido and another students on how they organize their RRL into columns. So the RRL answer grid helps in systematically reviewing your literature and break review later on into the 3 parts. So hindi nyo naman yung masasabit ng isang bagsakan, but the first part will be journal articles 1 to 5. Pag journal article, J1. Second, journal article 2. Tapos next, pag thesis, letter T. Kunyari, second thesis, 2, 3, and onwards. Pag a dissertation naman, you put letter D. Okay? Kunyari, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have to submit that. Yung first 5, the second part is 6 to 10, and the third part would be 11 to 20, which I will now sign. And once you're done with this one, I will now be able to give you the go signal to translate the RRL answer grid into the paragraph format. Now, ano yung RRL answer grid? Tignan ninyo yung example that I've sent in the FB messenger of your class for reference. Now, pag okay na, I have approved already, you have to translate the RRL answer grid into the paragraph format. So once your RRL answer grid is complete, you can convert the grid data into paragraph form. Paano yun? So you will have your topic sentence, start each paragraph with a summary of the theme or the trend found in your collected literature. Ano-ano yung mga sinabi ng mga authors? All the authors are saying the same thing. Ano yun? That's the theme. Okay? Ngayon, kung may mga individual authors na very unique, you can separate them. Parehas lang ito. Mayroong title or theme and the explanation. And supporting evidence. Use findings from multiple sources to strengthen your paragraph, connecting similar ideas across different studies. Now, when you do the in-text citation in your actual review of related literature, ito na yung paano susulatin yung inyong paragraph. Use APA-style citations. For example, Smith 2021, Sarosa 2024, throughout the paragraph. Pwede yun. Example, urban air quality improved is linked to green infrastructure developed. According Smith in 2021 found that green spaces improve air quality by 50%. A finding echoed by Jones in 2020 and Williams in 2019 in similar urban settings. So you see here 3 authors, no, when used for citation, and this is how it should be written in the actual paragraph. So for easy steps for the APA style in-text citation, for a single author, you can just put example, the author in the year. Smith 2021, ayan, with 2 authors, the author and the year. Cruz and Sarosa 2024. So those are 2 examples of authors. Now, 3 or more authors, you would have to be able to state it as author et al. Year. Example, you have Sarosa et al. 2021. Okay. Now, another example for Brown 2020 for a single author. Example number 2, Brown and Smith in 2020, and 2 authors two or more authors would be Brown et al. 2020. Pagka three or more na yan, that is how you're going to be able to use it. Now, there are steps for analyzing or synthesizing your literature. So synthesis involves blending the multiple sources into a cohesive discussion. Dapat malinaw yung pagsa-summarize yung synthesis. But the synthesis is not just a summary of all, but you need to be able to identify the following. Identify common themes, look for recurring ideas, concepts, or findings across different studies. Ano-ano yung mga sinabi ng mga authors, all the same, put them all together, compare and contrast. You highlight agreements and disagreements between the sources. And number three, you have to conclude the synthesis, state how this body of literature supports or contrasts your studies. Example, studies by Smith in 2021 and Jones in 2020 suggest that urban greenery improves air quality. However, Williams in 2019 argues that industrial pollutants reduce effectiveness of green spaces. So together, these studies highlight the complexity of managing urban population. So natapos ko na sa synthesis, now it's time for you to be able to create your theoretical framework. As defined here, when we say or talk about a theoretical framework, it should provide really a structure to explain the theories guiding your research. And theoretical frameworks anchor the study in pre-existing knowledge, using a theory or multiple theories to explain relationship between the variables or the concepts that you will be presenting. So here's the steps. You have to identify the relevant theories, research theories relevant to your topic. You have to explain the theories and provide a detailed description of each theory. And number three, you have to connect the theories to the study, write a paragraph explaining how the selected theories apply to your research. Example, the social cognitive theory or Bandura in 1986 explains that the behavior is learned through environmental interaction, blah, blah, blah. And the theory explains how urban residents learn and adopt environmental behaviors. And the last part will be the conceptual framework, which visualizes the variables or the concepts and the relationships between them. So parang i-visualize yun through either an illustration or an actual figure. So a conceptual framework offers a graphical or a narrative presentation of how the research variables for quantitative or the concepts interact, or the concept, or how is a concept being presented. So steps for creating a conceptual framework. An example is a specific qualitative research design, which is case study using the IPO, or the input, process, or the output model. So you have to identify the variables for quantitative and the concepts. So the input, what's the cause, the process, the mechanism, and the output, the effect. So you can create a diagram, visualize the relationships between the variables or the concepts that you will be creating. And then that's it. And then we have the concept of the other qualitative research design, which is ethnography. We will be doing an author-specific approach. So we have Spradley for ethnography, uses a progressive model focusing on cultural behaviors within a specific context. So parang may drawing, and then ano yung para yung sa research questions niyo, ano yung main ideas niyo, that would be like your output. And then you have feminology, Sicolisi and Giorgi, explores the lived experiences of participants. Parang sa ethnography rin, you have a progressive model, or what we call the philosophical underpinning, wherein may drawing ka, and then your research questions. Hindi nga ilalagay yung actual research questions, but phrases or important words connected to the possible outcomes of your study. And the last, we have the grounded theory. This is according to Strauss and Corbin and even Glacier. So they developed the theory based on data. Ito, mas mahirap ito because you really would have to come up with your framework later on when you have collected the data. Okay, those are some of the references for this lecture. So again, for the deliverables for this week, you will have to submit your RRL answer grid, the complete RRL answer grid by September 20, that's Friday. And the week after, September 27 will be the submission of your synthesis, your theoretical and conceptual framework. Okay, so that by the first week of October, we can begin the chapter 3 and hopefully finish within a week or two. And by the second week, we can start already the actual printing of your chapters 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think that's it for our class, and I will see you very soon. Bye.